Hello everyone, and you're very welcome to this channel NarcCon with myself and a very sleepy Remy on a cold winter's day, where we would like to discuss something that's come up quite recently, quite often, and that is, how can I tell if my friend is a narcissist? How can I tell if the person I'm with is a narcissist? Are there any actual signs that I can look out for in relation to, does the person actually like me? Or do they dislike me? When they're covertly being my friend or covertly a family member who I don't feel good around, but I can't pinpoint why I don't feel good around them. But interactions with them, although I can't pinpoint it, leave me feeling deflated or less than, or less encouraged or less enthusiastic about who I am and what I'm doing and my whole reason for being, actually. So I thought about this, as I always do, a good bit. And I thought, let's look at what the psychologists say and see the great psychologists of our time and see, did they give any kind of normal reasons or normal ways that we can tell if somebody doesn't like us. So I hit on Carl Jung, and he provided 8 ways that we can tell if somebody doesn't actually like us, but is just pretending to be a fake friend, a fake partner, a brother or sister, mother or father, son or daughter, and they're pretending that they like us and they want to get on with us. And actually, as I was going through the 8 points, I thought, oh wow, this is exactly what a narcissist does. So if you have a doubt about someone and you want to observe their behaviour in your interactions with them going forward, the very least this will give you is an idea if these patterns are occurring on a continuum, that the person doesn't like you, whether they're an actual narcissist or not, a covert narcissist, whether they have narcissistic personality disorder. They would have to also be hitting the other items or the other, personality behaviour patterns as listed in the DSM-5. The main ones being the voracious need to control and the lack of accountability and the lack of empathy. So let's get into this podcast. And just before I do, a point of interest or a point of knowledge. I have recently again had a few things being said in the comments in relation to, look, your podcasts used to come to me regularly. I'm not getting notified. Have you stopped doing them? All these kind of comments. I literally think it's down to the YouTube algorithm. If you subscribe to the channel, if you hit the little notifications bell, just hit that bell and it'll give you, do you want to receive all notifications or just a few or whatever? Choose all. It doesn't actually mean that you will get all, but I think the way around this from my own experience with other channels is, if you interact with the podcast, like it or comment on it or share it, then the algorithm picks up that, oh, they're interested in this, so I'll keep sending them information from this channel. That's my best solution to that. So with that aside, let's get into the main body of the podcast. We're going to go through these 8 points, and it would be very interesting if you wanted to journal and observe the person that you don't feel good around and help yourself to come to a conclusion. The first thing to notice, and let's just take it as a friend, it can be anyone related to you. So the friend, you are, say, achieving something, you're on a journey, you're studying or you're progressing in life in some way, and you're proud of yourself and you're making progress. And your friend, each time, you go to them very enthusiastic about what you're doing. You've known this person for quite some time. They are either your friend or your spouse or whatever. So they're in a close relationship with you. They're someone you share things with, that you trust, that you're close to, and whose opinion matters to you. So you come to them and say, oh, this has just happened. I'm so happy, whatever, I've just done this. And they start to subtly belittle your achievement, to put it down, to use a kind of a sarcastic humour. And I'll give you a kind of an example of this. So you're telling your friend, you've just gotten into the local dramatic society and you did a what do you call it, a rehearsal of the part. You got the part, you did an audition, that was the word I was searching for. You did an audition, you got the part, and you're really, you're excited about this because you've never done this before. And instead of saying, hey, that's really great, like that's so exciting and I'd love to come and see you, and, well done, that's brilliant. Instead of saying that, they'll say something, hey, well, who would know, who would think? And, I guess you're going to be in the movies next day, in a kind of a sarcastic way, instead of saying something just genuine and nice. So that's just a little example of what belittling is. Or, the other thing they could say in relation to that would be, well, were there many other people going for the part? Like, in other words, I guess you were the only one auditioning. So it's all coming from a point of envy. It's coming from a point of not sharing in your joy. It's coming from a point of you make them feel bad because you feel good. That's very narcissistic. That's a real classic narcissist. The narcissist has to feel that they're the number one. And if they are praising you, or they used to praise you initially, and now they don't praise you anymore, they do the belittling, sarcastic humour, then you may be in a narcissistic devaluation phase. And you may have transitioned from the love bombing phase where they have you hooked. And now the put down comes for the narcissist to literally feed off your emotional reaction and output. Number 2 is, and this is an awful one. This is very hurtful when you figure out that the person actually caused you not to get something that you wanted. And it usually doesn't come to light until the end or until the truth comes out, because the truth always rises. It may take some time, but the truth always rises. So I always trust in that. When you're feeling very frustrated that saying nobody believes you and everybody believes the narcissist, wait for it. I've experienced it so many times in life and with coaching clients, so many times. The truth always will out. Withholding is the next one. So, people associated with you know that this person is your very good friend, or you live with them, or they're your partner, or even they're your family member. You get a letter, a notification, somebody calls to the door, somebody passes your friend in the street and has a message for you. Can you pass it on, please? Great news, so-and-so Mary has just, she needs to be there at a certain time, and tell her good luck from me. If she's there at a certain time, she'll get that job. That's the person she needs to see. I know you get it, guys. It's literally a piece of information that's going to make a significant difference to your life. And for whatever reason, the person will pass it on through a third party, and they've no reason to think, because you've introduced them as your friend, you've introduced them as your husband or wife, they have no reason to think that that message will not be passed on. Now, the message isn't passed on in a timely manner, or which is called withholding, the message is withheld from you, or some of the pertinent and important information is withheld from you. So you may be told, I passed Johnny in the street, and Johnny told me that if you turn up tomorrow, that you have a very good chance of getting the job, because Gillian will be in and you'll get her then. So she just wants to see you, and she's sent a message to say she'll see you tomorrow. Now, the important part of the message that was, Gillian will be there from 11 till 11:30, and then she's flying out of state, or out of the country. That's the time she needs to see you. Once she can see you and get everything sorted, underlined, or whatever, you will more than likely get the job. That's the part of the information that's left out. So the narcissist is at home with you or gets you to do something that morning and say, well, she'll go in the afternoon and see her, whatever. You find out then, you go to the person who's passed the message on and say, hey, they said Gillian was going to be there. No. I said to your partner, your brother, your sister, you'd have to be there between 11 and 11:30. And you go back and you say to Mr. or Mrs. Narcissist, who really, I think they probably are, and say, they said I had to be there at 11 and 11:30, and that's the time you asked me to go down to the store and get something with you. Oh, is that what they said? No, I'm sure they said that they'd be there all day. Oh my goodness, I'm really sorry if I've got that wrong, but that I don't think she said that to me. I actually think that she left that part of the equation out. So I know, again, you get the picture. It's all this ins and outs, nastiness, withholding, taking delight in the fact that they've just scuppered one of your best chances in recent times of making progress, and will deny and excuse, and you'll be kind of there scratching your head thinking who to believe. You'll be very hurt, angry and annoyed, and maybe eventually, when they do something else, something will click in your brain and you will go, this person hates me. This person does not like me. So notice these things, file them at the back of your curious brain, because we do tend to want to think the best, even if something as disastrous or as impactful as that happens. But we have to protect ourselves. So these are clues that we are given that somebody actually is our enemy and not our friend. And we need to notice them. Number 3, they won't allow you your acclaim. So let's just say you've jumped through all these hoops and you've managed to avoid some of the withholding, and you've kind of put up with the sarcastic humour and the belittling of your initial achievement. And you have managed to get the part, which was difficult to get because there was a lot of competition for it. And you have done your play or whatever, you've partaken in the production, and you have been given person of the play or whatever. You've been given man of the match, woman of the match. So you've been given an extra accolade for your achievement in what you've done. And, the narcissist is there while you're your friend or your potential narcissist is there when you're receiving this accolade. And they just aren't fully joyful. They're clapping and they're saying, oh, well done. Well done. That reminds me of the time when actually, my audience was gigantic. I was in the biggest theatre, but, you're doing great. But the cup I got, they allowed me to keep it and blah, blah. So what they try and do is downplay what you've achieved and push themselves into the first position. They have to be first. It's pathetic. It is so pathetic. But there's always that competitive element, and you cannot be better than them. You cannot hog the limelight. You cannot take all the attention. They're like an envious person of the emotional maturity of a 5-year-old. They are literally not your friend. It's all about them, and whatever they need, the put downs on you will come harder and harder and harder the more they need. So that's number 4. It's called superficial support. Sorry, that was number 3. Sorry. Number 3 was they won't allow you acclaim. They'll talk about themselves and say, I've done that or I've done it better. Now, number 4 is superficial support. They will give you false applause, but at the important time, so let's just say let's just say, again, we'll use the example of the production, the drama production. They've, you've gotten the part despite their lack of enthusiasm and their put downs, despite the fact that you should have been maybe there at a certain time on a certain day for the job interview, or despite all the negativity from them to scupper your success. When the day comes for you to maybe, it's your first day on stage, or it's your first day on the job and you're really looking for some support, or you need that lift from them. They've promised you a lift. They've promised that they'll be there for you. They've promised to look after your dog. They've promised to look after your house, or whatever is essential. One of the most important and essential things for you to actually present yourself in a place or to do something that's really important to you. They will have a last minute crisis and won't be able to do that for you. If that happens, I mean, obviously these things can happen, by accident. If that happens on more than one occasion, or if that's part and parcel of the other points we've made, then you have something that you need to look into. So number 5, as to, well, basically signs of narcissistic devaluation, or signs that somebody does not like you. Control. Control. So they actually try to take control of your narrative. So when you're saying, I'm making plans to do this, and this is the way I'm going to do it, and these are the steps I would like to achieve, they will come in and kind of own it on you and say, well, no, that wouldn't be such a good idea. I understand why you want to do that, but this is the way, you should go if you want to succeed. And then if you say, well, I kind of would like to do it my own way, they'll say, well, listen, you go do it your own way, but they'll sow seeds of doubt. They will sow seeds that will give you a lack of confidence. So instead of being your friend, your ally, your supporter, your family member, your spouse, instead of saying, you do it whatever way you think, if you need anything from me, I'll be there, but you've succeeded so far, you've gotten the job, you know what you're doing, and if you want to fly anything by me, I'm here for you. But I think that you're 100%, and I believe that you're going to succeed amazingly well at this. That's not what the begrudger would say. So they will cast doubt, and they will insinuate that they know better than you, and that they're superior to you, and that the way you're going to do it is not really going to succeed, because you don't have it all going on up there. They do. Number 6, they don't like you. You find out that people in the environment that you're in have suddenly kind of changed their attitude towards you. That people that would previously have nodded and said hi just kind of look at their phone or walk by and look the other way, or just go when they see you. Or you ask a question and they kind of say, well, why would you ask that? As if they have had been fed previous information and been told you were going to do this, or this is your agenda. And they're prepared and they're on alert because they've been told that you're going to start interfering, that you don't want the best for the team, or that you've done something. This person who's your purported friend will actually tell a lie and say you've done something to scupper whatever was going on. And indeed, an action may have been taken by them to falsify a narrative about you and make others believe it. Commonly known as the smear campaign, but this can be done in very, very subtle ways, so that you can't quite pick up why people have subtly changed towards you. Because you've no reason to think, you begin to think, oh, I'm being paranoid here. Like, maybe they just had a bad day, that person that used to say hello to me every Friday, or that used to go for lunch with me. Maybe something's going on. But it's happening more and more and more, even in little ways. And you begin to feel, well, maybe there is something going on, but what is it about and where is it coming from? And you talk to your brother or sister or work colleague or husband or wife and say, I don't know, but I kind of feel funny when I go in there, like as if people are looking at me or whatever. And of course, the covert narcissist or the person that doesn't like you will say, listen, you're paranoid. You're imagining things. You know the score, guys. You know the way they will gaslight you. That's a person that doesn't like you. They have literally set you up, and then they're telling you you're crazy for suspecting that there's something going on. Awful, awful, awful stuff to live through. Very mind psychologically tormenting. But this is something, if you're noticing this and you're noticing the other points, that person doesn't like you. Number 7, lack of interest in you when you're joyful and happy. So if they suspect like things are going really well in your life and you want to go out and celebrate, and you say, listen, I'd love us to go to a restaurant so that we can celebrate all this, the good luck that's coming in at the moment. And I want to say thank you, for being with me. And I'm just so happy. And they kind of avoid it or say, look, I'm really happy for you, but I'm just going through something at the moment, or I'm very busy and we'll do it at some stage. Don't worry about it. And yet, if you're going through a really bad time, and I know this is a really old saying, it's your fair weather friend or your bad weather friend. So people that don't like you don't want to celebrate your success, but are quite happy to accompany you in your failures. Now, that is a classic. And I must say, I noticed that with an acquaintance stroke friend of mine at one stage. Couldn't get her to, join me when things were going great. And I felt lonely on those occasions. I felt like, oh, that's such a shame, because to celebrate something with someone you think loves you or is your friend or is your family member is the most wonderful thing, particularly if you've worked very hard to achieve something and they're not there for you. Yet when you're in the depths of despair, they're there for you and they're listening to your story and listening to your woes, and they're actually enjoying it. They're actually enjoying it. So if they're always there when things aren't going well for you and they're never there when things are going great for you, that person doesn't like you. And the 8th and final one, and I have used this analogy before, I think this is the most powerful. And trust yourself on this. Don't believe you're paranoid. Don't believe you're crazy. If you feel instinctively or instinctually uncomfortable with somebody, if you always come away from being with them and feel less than, feel bad, feel inexplicably confused, feel hurt, feel let down, feel that there's a dampness on your joy. They don't share your joy. Even though they look at you and smile at you, and they'll make all the noises and they'll say all the right things, yet you're not feeling it. There is something off. That is like a person or, say, an animal being in a big open space in a jungle setting, and they're munching away in the grass. Sorry, some of my analogies are nuts, but I hope it works. They're munching away on the grass, and suddenly there's a change in the atmosphere, and the animals all look up. Something has changed in the atmosphere, and they have instinctually picked up on it, whether it's a sound, whether it's the other animals noticing, whether it's a smell. Something is off. Listen to that. There's a predator out there. That I think, with your ancient brain and your instincts and all of your like your hearing, your perception, your body language radar, all of those things have come to give you a feeling that something is not right. That's a great point, my friend, to stand there and say, I'm going to get my little journal out and I'm going to look at all those other points in relation to, does this person actually like me? Stop listening to the words they're saying and look at their actions and look at how it makes you feel after being with them. And the third thing I would say is compare it to someone who makes you feel on a long-term continuum, who always shares your joy, who doesn't push themselves forward, who doesn't sarcastically belittle you, who says, I'll be there for you if you need me, but you're doing fantastic on your own. They're the people that love you. That's it for now, and they are the subtle signs of devaluation, and they are signs that somebody does not like you, and that is accredited to the studies of Carl Jung. That's what he came up with, and I could not believe how crazily they resembled how a narcissist will devalue a person. Look after yourselves, and we will see you again soon.